Welcome back to another episode of the Imperfect Action Show, where we connect with 6, 7, 8 figure earners, share stories on how they got to the success that they got to, what they're currently up to now, and what are some of their plans for the future. Today's episode, I have an amazing individual, someone that I've come to meet a few years ago when I first moved into California, and also meeting through the financial services industry, as well as being a California native and two-time Olympian. This individual, exemplifies high performance, right? And getting things done and executing at a high level, right? And leadership and everything like that. I want to introduce to you guys Mr. Carlo Valdez, man. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, Brendan, thanks for having me. I know we've been trying to do this for a while, so it's good to finally connect on this and get it done. So I'm excited.
Nah, man, this is gonna be good. This is just I feel like this is just a preliminary. We talked about doing the in person, so that's gonna happen really, really soon. But I'm happy that we're able to, at least be on this platform, kind of get the momentum going, and then going from there. So I would like for you to share a little bit about your journey to becoming a two-time Olympian in bobsled, which is interesting for a lot of people, right? It's not a traditional sport that most people would kind of think about going into or becoming a master at as well. And then just talk about how you were able to transition from there to what you do now. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna send a quick text out to the community and let them know that we are live on YouTube.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, my journey started, when I was a kid. I've been in a lot of sports growing up. I would say 4 to 5 at a time throughout a year, just because my parents threw me into pretty much everything. So that's something that I'll probably do with my kids too. Just throw them in everything, see what they like, and go from there. Keep them busy, keep them out of the house. So, but yeah, once I got into high school, I focused more on two sports, mainly football and track. And I went to Modern Day High School growing up here in California, high school powerhouse in athletics, as people know now, if they didn't know before. And then that went or transitioned into UCLA, where I competed on the football and track team, track mainly. But I was on the football team for a year. I was a receiver and safety most of my life. Also running back, played quarterback, but focused on receiver and safety. And then when I got on the track team, I was a sprinter my whole life again, and I actually threw. And then I did decathlon my first year at UCLA, and then I became a javelin thrower. And then that's when I could start getting big. So I was like 190 pounds fast, and didn't really focus too much on getting strong, but that's what happened with javelin. So I went from 190 to 220, and then the idea of bobsled finally came about probably halfway through college when my coach was like, "Hey, I think you'd be great at bobsled because you're strong and you're fast." So that happened out of nowhere, and when I graduated, went out for the team. Because other teammates of mine actually went on and compete and make the team before me. So they kind of opened the way for me and tell me what I needed to know and how to get involved and stuff. And yeah, one thing led to another. Did a combine, did push testing, rookie camp, team trials, and next thing you know, I was on team starting 2014 and competed for 8 years. And 2 Olympics later, I had a pretty good career. So it was just wild that everything happened. And yeah, that was my road to becoming, my road to being an Olympian, if you want to call it that. So just
I mean,
crazy.
I don't want to call it that. I think the world calls it that. I'm just calling it what the world calls it. You know what I mean? That's amazing. What I want to ask is okay, so when bobsledding was presented to you, that was something that UCLA was offering, or was that something that your coach at the time was just privy to? Like, hey, here's another opportunity. I think you would be good in.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They don't do this stuff in college. It's just anything related to Team USA and the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee is all separate from any other entity. So people can get involved as early as they want, but again, having the experience through high school and college gives people the experience to excel in any sport that Team USA offers, whether it's rugby or swimming or bobsled or whatever sport it is. There's so many sports that they cover, winter or summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, my coach just happened to tell me because that's what he's done in the past, where he had other athletes who he thought would be good at it, and they were. So he's like, hey, maybe I'm good at spotting, what a bobsledder looks like, or what kind of skill they can transfer to the sport based upon what they're good at now. So yeah, it was interesting because obviously I didn't know anything about it. I grew up here in Southern California from
Yeah,
Newport.
the last time we got is snow over here.
Yeah. It's like what is a kid like me doing from here doing a winter sport? So yeah, it's not something I grew up wanting to do. It just happened, and it was just another door, another opportunity that opened that I didn't think was even possible. So I took advantage of it. And
Got you. So let's set the room really quick. I'm on with Carlo Valdez, two-time Olympian, financial services professional, and we're talking about performing at a high level, and we're going to touch on a little bit of the financial services industry and a lot of things that people just need to know to be more informed and things like that. Drop your questions in a box below if you have any questions for Carlo, and do me a favor and share this Imperfect Action YouTube live out with a couple of people. Let's get them in a room. We got someone special who's going to be sharing some messages, so definitely want other people to take advantage of it if they are able to get in the room. All right, man. So, what made you get into financial services, right? Because obviously, a lot of other industries that you can get in. You've already translated some of your athletic skills into bobsled, which was, not necessarily traditional, right? That was an opportunity that was presented to you. So now, as you were moving into the financial services space, what about this space was attractive, and how did you come to find good footing in this category?
Yeah, so I fell into it on accident. That's the best way I can put it. So after I got back from, when I got back from Korea in 2018, after my first Olympics, didn't know what I wanted to do. And we can talk about this later about, what I want to help athletes moving forward is help them figure out what they want to do and how to help them transfer their skill to whatever business it is, whatever passion it is they want. Because you do fall into a little slump. You have no idea what the next chapter is. So I was in the same boat. I didn't know what I wanted to do for like 2 months, but I knew like after I kind of, had some fun after dedicating 4 years to the sport, kind of releasing some steam. I'm like, okay, what can I do? What do I want to do? So I was actually trying to get into medical device sales, and just because other guys from the team had gone to do it, and I thought it'd be a good idea too. And from there, I kind of was stuck in the process. And this is really funny. I'll go back to that too. But someone randomly through LinkedIn reached out, and they're just like, hey, I think you should try this out. We'll come in, we'll do an interview, blah blah. It's with a different financial services company, and I went into that interview just cold turkey, not knowing what I wanted to do, not preparing for anything, and man, I just had no idea what I was getting myself into, honestly. But I liked the idea of what they were telling me, like saying, "Hey, this is a good career for you to use your skill because one, there's no ceiling. Two, you're a hard worker and you've worked your whole life to get to the highest level. So I'm guessing you want to get paid for the amount of work you put in, 100%. So that's the entrepreneurial mindset, 1099 mindset, aside from a W-2, where you can put in as much work as you want, but you're not going to get rewarded for it. You're just going to say, hey, this is your salary, and that's it. I didn't like that. And my parents were both business owners. I saw that the amount of free time they had as well. So it just, for me, it made sense, right? So I wanted to pursue that, knowing that, hard work would pay off. So, but there's another thing too that made me really want to join. It was the culture. you got to like the people who you're working with.
Yeah, that's important.
And the only reason why I joined was because I met the managing director of the office, and he reminded me of like an old school football coach I used to have. Just kind of no filter. Um, Knew how to talk to me because he's like, all right, this guy is an athlete. You just got to tell him what to do and give him some motivation and give him some guidance, and he'll go do it.
Yeah,
which is really what we want. So he's the reason why I joined. And from
I
there,
think
yeah,
that's not to cut you off, but I definitely want to highlight something that you said. I think you even understanding of how you need to be spoken to, or the way that you communicate, right? The way that you receive messages is important for your self-awareness, and then also your development, right? So it's like if the same message may have been presented to you in a different way from either a different person, or maybe the frequency and vibration was different, you may not have received it in the manner in which you do. Because like I realize that too when I'm listening to like certain people watching certain YouTubes. I know like, okay, B. Joe's Cullinan, I'm gonna resonate with him. David Goggins, I'm resonating with him. Eric Thomas, I'm resonating with him. You know what I mean? Like Andy Frisella, I'm resonating. These are people that Ed Milet, same thing. These are people they got base, they got command. You know what I'm saying? They direct. It's black or white. It's not presented in a way where it's fluff or pretty. It's like exactly how you need to hear it, so then you can then take what you need to do and go in the direction in which you want to go. So I think it's important. I just wanted to pause real quick and just kind of say that, because you realizing that you're like, okay, again, put you back in athlete mode or whatever. Like you know exactly how to move now. And I think that's important for people to realize, how do they communicate and how do they receive messages in a manner in which it's going to allow them to move forward and take some steps towards the direction in which they want to take steps.
exactly. Yeah, they just. I would say that everyone you just mentioned too has, I have learned things, but it's been hard for me to communicate that to others, and they have communicated in a way to me of how to finally understand it and communicate that to anyone else. That I feel like would find value in that. Because before I'm like, hey, how do I explain this? How do I explain what I felt in the past? And all those people you just named have been able to do that. Because I'm like, finally, I can actually relate and explain that. So
Yeah, facts. Okay, so financial services, right? So when people hear that, or even when they hear financial literacy, what are some of the base points, right? So like someone that may, they heard of financial services, they heard of financial literacy, right? If you had to break it down to like this, and this, what are some of the base things or some of the vocabulary words that people should be more familiar with before they even start to move forward and to get in a financial product?
yeah, great question. So it all starts with educating yourself, because this stuff's not taught to us in school, right? Um, so a lot of people are left to fend for themselves, where they get their advice from, say, their parents, which is outdated, honestly, um, or they're getting advice through, an employer-sponsored program, which is just giving you one piece to a 100-piece puzzle, and then here, that's one AirPod belt, fine. But yeah, so then what I do is the most important thing is helping people understand where they're at, what they have going, whether it's money in the bank in their savings account, helping understand what that's doing, how the bank's leveraging that instead of how they're leveraging it, understanding their retirement, understanding different opportunities they can take advantage of if they want to live the life they want to and reach retirement at a certain point. Um, Again, it's just going into how vehicles work, how money works, how taxes work, and how they can protect that through insurance planning. Because without the defensive planning, offensive planning makes no sense. They're going to have to draw from those assets to make up for a loss or a down economy, which we've seen in the past year. And it's just, again, you got to create education, help them understand that stuff. And here's a good way I'll break it down too. Business owners love this, by the way. I'll break it down to 3 buckets. So you got home run bucket, your home run bucket, you got your aggressive bucket, and your safe bucket. So the home run bucket is the returns you get through your business and through real estate. Those are home run dollars that you can't compete with, and the returns are great. Everyone can agree with that. So people should strive to get to that bucket if they're not in it already. And then there's your aggressive bucket, which is pretty much anything in the market, anything that has volatility involved with it. So there's risk, but you're getting growth. So mutual funds, individual stocks, retirement accounts connected to the market, things like that. So you're getting 8, 9, 10, sometimes even more as far as a return. And then there's your safe bucket, which is anything in the bank, savings, checking, CDs, high yield, money market, things like that, bonds. So it's good to have that, but you're not getting growth. You're not keeping up with inflation, especially now. But you have the safety, you have liquidity. And where I help people understand all those buckets is, do they have anything in those, and how they can bridge the gap between those buckets. So insurance planning, you can actually use it as an offensive tool and bridge the safety bucket to the aggressive bucket to have the safety of that, or have safe money and also have aggressive money at the same time. So that's what I help people figure out. And that's where I've really developed my expert or an expert level of knowledge in that area, just so, because people have questions all the time of how they can leverage insurance, and they've seen it on, say, TikTok or Instagram or social media nowadays of people talking more and more about it, but that's not enough information. And sometimes people can get in hot water if they go into it at a misleading level. So again, you got to educate people on what they can do, and what assets they have and what assets they should have. So that's like the simplest version I can do without talking too much about it.
Yeah, that's cool. So if I could just do a quick little recap, I would say some of the key vocabulary words, right? Financial literacy, but being more aware. We're talking about, well, one, educating yourself, understanding where you are and where you're going in terms of finances, right? How much money you have coming in, what's your expenses, right? How much money you have coming in, where's the money coming from? Do you have any streams? Do you have any drips? Do you have money that's automatic that is coming? Do you have some things that may trickle in, right? Really understanding where you are, where do you want to go, right? So then you're talking about, your retirement. How do you? And I think this is a really good question, and I think it's seldom asked. And I think next time, if you're listening or watching this and you're hanging out with your friends, this is probably a really great question to ask. Where do you really want to go? People are like, in 5 years, where you want to be in 5 years, where you want to be at 10 years. How do you picture your retirement? Let's just say that. This is a great icebreaker question, go on a date question, hanging out with your friends question. Before you watch
that question, yeah.
Before you watch that movie or whatever, or drink the brews or whatever. Where do you see, or where do you envision your retirement? I think once you can actually conceptualize that, it'll at least get your subconscious clicking. And then you can be like, whoa, I really want to be on the beach. I want to have XYZ amount of money coming in. I want to make sure I don't have to worry about this or about that. Now, at least you're thinking about, okay, wow, this might cost me this amount. How do I get from where I am to where I'm going? Like Carlos said, right, in the retirement. You touch on leverage, taxes, which is people avoid. I used to avoid them a lot, right? So taxes, inflation, really understanding the flux, the way the dollar fluctuates in the markets and stuff like that. I think those are really great starter vocabulary words. And then you just broke down, like the strategy with the buckets, right? The home run bucket, right? What are you getting on your business returns, real estate, right? Whether ownership or investing. You got the aggressive bucket, mutual funds, stocks, options, stuff like that. Safe bucket, you touched on bank CDs, maybe some mattress money, you know what I mean? Maybe some couch money, right? Maybe you have a best friend stashing some cash for you, you know what I mean? And if I could throw something in there as well, I would say back to the where you are and where you're going, maybe just having different accounts. Maybe you have 3 accounts. Maybe you have a savings account, even if you don't know what you're gonna do with them yet. But at least this kind of preps you. You got a savings account, you got your checking account, obviously, which could be, your operating account, right? You have an account that's gonna be for your rainy day or your emergency fund, and then you may have something that if there's something that comes along that you may want to take advantage of. Maybe there's an opportunity you want to get in, and your friend's like, "Hey, this might, I just need somebody else to come in at $1,000." You can actually consider that because you have an account that might have $1,000 in there. And I think oftentimes, and I've definitely been there, but oftentimes it's like you got one account, maybe a savings, everything's in there. Money comes in, you're excited. You don't divide the money up. So it's like you get, a couple $1,000s in there, and then the money's gone. And then you're waiting next time for another couple thousand to come in, and then the money's gone because you're not dividing it up. You're not taking them for you. There's nothing in the operations. You don't have a basic check-ins. That's, a safe check-ins or whatever. You don't have a savings account. You don't have no investment and no emergency fund. So I think at the very beginning, if you're not really even knowledgeable about some of these terms, just dividing the money up and having something that is going to be there that you can at least grow these accounts. It's like in sports where it's like you're practicing, right? So you're always ready, so that you don't have to go get ready. It's like you're staying ready, so you can make a play. And I think it's fascinating. And also really great how you just kind of broke down that insurance is actually an offensive tool. Because I think oftentimes, and I think it's really, so I'm looking forward to having it in person so we can kind of go deep. But I think it's really interesting how people are like happy to pay car insurance. They're happy to pay rental insurance. They're happy to pay insurance for travel. They're happy to pay insurance for all sorts of things. But then when it comes to like life insurance, it's like the furthest thing from their mind. And it's like the most important thing that we have, because you can't even do none of that if you don't, like, you're the life, right? So if you wouldn't mind, just kind of break down like insurance, being seen as an offensive tool.
Yeah, so again, people think of it as more of a defensive tool that just gives you a benefit if, God forbid, something were to happen to you, whether it's a passing or a disability or a long-term care event, or like everything else that people have, like phone insurance or house insurance or renter's insurance, whatever. But they forget to insure the most important important thing, or their most important asset, which is their health. So yeah, instead of looking at it as a defense tool, which it is, at the end of the day, it is insurance. You can actually leverage it as an offensive tool, which gives you the ability to throw in money that's going more towards the growth. And just as long as you're working with the right people, you can literally stuff as much cash in as you want while minimizing the death benefit, minimizing the cost of insurance and other expenses attached to the policy, so that you're actually creating a savings alternative, because that's what it is. It's a savings alternative. It's an overlooked asset. It's another asset. That's all it is, that you can borrow from, that you can leverage at any time, any place, tax-free growth, tax-free distribution. It'll never go down in value because of the market. So it's not connected to what the market's doing. And, you have full control. You're creating your own financial system. So people like that. If people said no to any of those, then I don't know what's wrong with you, but people like control of their money. And if there's someone that's going to make money off their own money, it better be you, right? So this is what that provides. Now, it's not immediate satisfaction. There's some delayed gratification to this, but once you get to that point, you're going to be glad you did this, because, again, the number one thing I hear too is that that people wish they either started this sooner or they wish they put in more.
Yeah.
In the past, so their hindsight becomes their foresight, so to speak.
Yeah.
So that's how you leverage it. And you got to make sure you're working with the right people. You got to make sure these are structured properly because they're not for everyone. You have to be in a good spot. You can start as small as you want, you can start as big as you want, but at the end of the day, it's got to be the right fit.
Definitely.
If someone came to me and said they have something in place already and it was actually structured properly, but they said they wanted to switch it, I would lean on the side of not because why switch it if it's working?
Yeah.
So it just all depends. And if they're not putting in enough, it might not make sense either. So it has to be good timing, has to be done properly, and yeah, it has to be the right fit at the end of the day.
I really like how you shared that not only is insurance an offensive tool, but you also kind of shared that defense is really offense. Like defense is the best offense. You know what I'm saying? If you're preparing for if we have an earthquake or if it's a monsoon rains, right? Or you have that emergency fund or whatever the case may be, right? Or maybe you even take your umbrella with you, just keep it in the back seat just in case something happens. You're planning for the day when you may need something. And I think that is the best offense because it gives you a sense of security. And another thing I would say is when you step into a job as an employee, you're going in there obviously for the stability, but you're going in there for the uh, the reliability, right? You're going in for the sense of security that the job have put in place, right? They're giving you,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna give you a sense of insurance, right? Whether it be health insurance, dental, and this, and that human resources is there and all that stuff, right? Because they kind of did it, they set it up, so they did it for you. But I think one of the things Carlo kind of is highlighting is that we should be more self-aware that we can set these things up for ourselves and do it for ourselves in a manner in which it's going to serve us at the highest level. Because your job is thinking about what's best for your job. You know what I'm saying? They're going to tell you to contribute to a fund that they're going to be able to take advantage of, right? You're going to get some coverage and you're going to be able to do some stuff. But that 401k, let's just say, may not be in your best interest. It may be in their best interest, right? But being able to be more aware and put your own things in place, you have more control. You can actually design or get closer to that curated retirement that we talked about in the future. And I think that's important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got to again, you got to educate yourself.
Definitely, man. Definitely. So, as we're wrapping up this episode of Imperfect Action Show, man, let everyone know how they can get in contact with you. Obviously, we got your Instagram there, but if they wanted to ask you any questions about, insurance, financial services, financial literacy, or maybe they just want to finally get this stuff together, right? They're hearing this for like the first time or maybe the third time. They're like, all right, man, this is my time. How can they work with you?
Yeah, I mean, it all starts with just like an introduction phone call. And by the way, my time is free. I don't charge by the hour. I don't give you an invoice after a few meetings. The way I get paid is if you do business with an insurance company, the insurance company pays me. That's how that works. So never feel like you're on the hook for a bill because you're not going to be. It's all me just trying to add value to whatever you're doing. So whether I can help directly or not, I want to make sure that one, that initial call is going to be based around questions that you have or whatever you want to talk about. And if it's something I can't help with directly, I bet you 9 times out of 10, I know someone that can answer your question. So I'm always going to make sure that I point you in the right direction, whenever it is, whatever it might be. So yeah, you can reach out either through Instagram or my LinkedIn. Just
you wanna drop that number? You wanna let me know that number? I could drop it below.
My number or
Yeah. Can you set for the call? So do you have a direct number for the call, or do you want them to go through DM first or LinkedIn first?
Oh yeah. I mean 949-922-1088.
All right. So 949-922-1088. text, call Carlo for more information on your particular situation. Maybe you just want to kind of get an assessment, right, of where I currently am and where I'm going. Maybe you want to get like a financial audit, or just have a conversation. You can reach out to Carlo at that number below, right there, 949-922-1088. Man, it's been great to have you on. Definitely looking forward to the sit down so we can kind of get a little deeper in the weeds. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be amazing. We can talk about more of your story, your journey, how your skills have successfully transferred over to your current career path, and how you want to look out for and help the athlete, right, become more knowledgeable, and not be in a situation where they don't have protection, or they're done with the sport and they don't have any way to either generate revenue, or they don't have their revenue safeguarded. You know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
thanks a lot for being on the show, man. Any final words for the people?
Yeah. Hey, just continue to seek information. Brennan provides a lot of great information on here. He gets with a lot of great people, and he's already had a couple people I know on here. So yeah, Brennan's one a great resource for anyone seeking that info. And also, yeah, if you just want to learn more, just reach out, whether it's to him or to myself or anyone he's had on the calls. That's what we're here for. We're here to help and answer questions, and you never know what it could lead to. It could lead to another introduction, networking, things like that. You got to get out there and meet new people. So if you are business owners out there, yeah, leverage us. So yeah, that's the best thing I can say, especially with your audience. I think that resonates pretty good. So
100%, man. We've been on with Carlo, two-time Olympian, financial services professional, looking out for the modern athlete, and also looking out for your families, making sure that not only do you have the knowledge that you need, but your finances are safeguarded, and you have a better idea of where you are and where you're going and how to plan to get there. It's been another episode of the Imperfect Action Show. I suggest that you guys, and I encourage that you guys, follow Carlo at Carlo Valdez _USA on Instagram, and get more financial knowledge. You'll get that free sit down, that financial needs analysis and things like that, man. It's been great to have you on. I look forward to the in person, man. Let's do it.
Yep. Yeah, there'll be a lot of information on that one.
100%, 100%. All right, guys.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys on the next episode, Carlo. I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks, Brennan. Thanks for having me.